Usually when we think about reality, there's this expectation of solidity, right? Like you picture a standard brick wall.
Right. Yeah.
You lean your hand against it, the bricks push back, and your brain just sort of categorizes that sensory input and says, okay, that's a wall. It's solid. We're safe.
It is a deeply comforting binary to live by. I mean, we really prefer the physical world to be predictable.
Oh, definitely.
We want it to obey the fundamental rules of physics that, we all learned in grade school. Like if something is solid, it can't also be liquid.
Yeah.
And if a room is small, it obviously cannot also be massive.
But then, you step into the world of high-concept science fiction, and suddenly you lean against that exact same brick wall, and your hand just passes right through it.
Right, into a dimension made entirely of singing light.
Yes, exactly. It's, we're looking at a narrative landscape here that completely dismantles those comforting binaries.
The author really drags the reader into absolute perceptual muddy waters. I mean, we're forced to question the very basic mechanics of how a mind processes its environment.
So true. Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome back to the Deep Dive, everyone. We are jumping right back into the mind-bending sci-fi manuscript, Ada Natkin.
Which is just a wild ride.
It really is. And in our previous discussion, we explored Lord Commander Tenhut's incredibly surreal encounter with the entity known as the Novelist, the actual author of his universe.
Right.
But today's mission is all about what happens after that meeting. Like, how does a person's mind actually cope when the literal fabric of reality begins to glitch and fracture and just overlap on itself?
Yeah, so this entire exploration today is focused squarely on the theme of perception.
Okay.
We're going to examine what happens when characters are forced to confront the utterly impossible. So we'll be tracking Tenhut's physical journey back into his world.
And contrasting that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Contrasting his experience with his subordinate, General Doc, who, he undergoes a complete psychological unraveling.
Oh, man, it's rough. And for you listening right now, if you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by contradictory information or, felt like your own personal reality was just spinning wildly out of control, the bizarre events we're covering today offer this fascinating, albeit incredibly trippy survival guide.
What's really fascinating here is how the text uses these extreme reality-breaking scenarios to explore the limits of the human, or, well, in this case, the Egyptian nervous system.
Yeah, so we pick up right where we left off. Tenhut is leaving the domain of the Novelist.
Right.
And now, to return to his physical world, he can't just, walk out a standard door. He literally has to crawl his way through the hidden architecture of reality itself.
Yeah, he enters this ventilation system within the Nexus Tower.
Yeah.
But, this isn't an HVAC duct in a normal office building.
No, not at all.
The author describes it as the circulatory system of the universe.
Which is such a wild image, and the source material is so vivid here. Tenhut emerges from this chaotic vent onto a silver walkway that's just suspended over a colossal dark chasm.
A literal void.
Yeah. And on either side of him are these two massive turbines. They have these corkscrew centers that the text describes as rotating into an ever-climbing spiral to infinity.
Right.
It is quite literally the generator room of reality.
Which serves as this brilliant mechanical metaphor for existence. We frequently conceptualize the universe as a machine.
Like a giant clock.
Exactly. A clockwork system governed by rigid, predictable laws. And Tenhut is viewing the engine room that powers the simulation of his world. He's seen the gears that make that brick wall solid.
But then the environment just shifts completely. As he keeps crawling through another vent, the steel walls suddenly melt into earth and rock. It goes from this cold industrial thing to organic in an instant.
Right.
And the walls become embedded with thousands of glowing crystals. The text calls them moon coral.
Moon coral, yeah.
And they're actually singing in hymns of sentient light.
It is profound sensory overload for him. The phenomenon of sentient light singing hymns, it suggests a complete cross-wiring of the senses.
Like synesthesia.
A kind of cosmic synesthesia, exactly.
Yeah.
He is transitioning from the cold, mechanical code of the universe into the raw, creative, organic imagination that actually fuels that code.
Wow. And that transition culminates in him bursting out of this cavern onto a tiny beach.
Yeah, the inner dream earth.
Right. It's an inner dream earth. There's this ocean beneath a yellow and orange sky, illuminated by a golden sun. And in the water, he sees these strange, vibrantly colored fish.
Oh, the fish are incredible.
Purple ones with blue splotches, bright orange ones. The text literally says they look like, quote, little paintings. And the most astounding detail is that the fish actually smile at him.
They do. They interact playfully, creating this sort of aquarium of the deep mind. The mechanical anxiety of those spinning turbines is totally replaced by utter, surreal serenity.
I do have to push back a little on this tonal shift, though, because, I mean, it reads like Alice falling down a sci-fi rabbit hole, right?
Sure.
But Alice, in this case, is a heavily armored, fearsome military commander who just, vaporized enemies earlier in the story.
Yes, he did.
Tenhut is a terrifying occultist of the Black Guard, yet he's profoundly moved by this. He looks at this beautiful scene and he says, quote, "I could stay here forever, but my place lies somewhere else."
Right.
So how are we supposed to interpret a ruthless military leader being entirely seduced by smiling, painted fish in a hidden subterranean ocean?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really tells us everything we need to know about Tenhut's mental conditioning.
Okay, how so?
Tenhut is a master of perception.
Yeah.
He is ruthless, yes, absolutely, but his mind is entirely fluid. When he encounters the impossible, like a smiling painted fish in an underground dream ocean, he doesn't try to fight it.
He just accepts it.
Exactly. He doesn't attempt to analyze it or categorize it with his rigid military logic.
Right, he doesn't pull out a field manual to classify the fish.
No, not at all. He allows the experience to exist without demanding it make sense. He allows himself to appreciate the serenity and the beauty of this higher dimension without losing his anchor to his actual mission.
Oh, that makes sense.
His ability to witness this profound, paradigm-shifting beauty and then calmly state, my place is somewhere else, that proves his incredibly high level of spiritual and mental discipline.
Yeah, he remains unshakable because he's completely adaptable.
Spot on.
Which is the exact opposite of what is happening to his subordinate, General Dak.
Oh, poor Dak.
Right, while Tenhut is successfully navigating these shifting dimensions with this zen-like calm, Dak is dealing with a severe, forced cognitive upgrade back in the bizarre city of Senhel.
Dak is very much a traditional military man.
Yeah.
He operates on strict hierarchies, clear orders, and definitive physics.
Yeah.
Ambiguity is his absolute enemy.
And the author immediately assaults that need for clarity. Dak and his soldiers are exploring a dark building when they suddenly hear these distorted alien voices.
The phonetic spelling here is great.
Yes. The text provides the exact phonetics. It goes, quote, "Debis unwa, delicta."
Yeah.
And then, like a flip switch in their brains, the language instantly translates in their minds.
Their perception is essentially hacked from the outside. I mean, they aren't learning a language over time.
No.
Their neural pathways are being forcefully rewritten in real time to comprehend it.
Which is a terrifying concept, honestly, just a total violation of mental autonomy. So they enter this room to find the source of the voices, and the setting is so mundane but totally bizarre at the same time.
It's very surreal.
It looks like a normal living room, but the occupants are anything but normal. There are two entities. One is Morekton, a bulbous, obese creature casually smoking a cigar on a couch.
Right.
And the other is Venrib, who is this dark brown insect-rodent hybrid wearing a suit.
The author really thrives on the sheer banality of the absurd here. We basically have eldritch horror meeting suburban hospitality.
It plays out like a bizarre cosmic sitcom that's suddenly interrupting an epic, grim, dark war story because these creatures politely offer Dak a drink.
Yeah, they're just being good hosts.
Right. And Dak, who is trying to maintain some level of diplomatic control, takes a sip and immediately violently spits it out.
He hates it.
The text actually writes out the guttural sound of him spitting it out, quote, "CKYUHK."
Yeah.
And then Morekton casually reveals that the beverage is called, quote, "Guilt of Flesh."
Which is just a deeply unsettling name for a beverage.
So gross. And when Dak gets furious about being served liquid flesh, Venrib cheerfully offers him an alternative. He's like, "Try this." And it is, quote, "Guilt of Worm."
It just gets worse.
Dak is absolutely furious. He's panting, sweating, his eyes are red. I mean, he is a general being treated like the butt of a disgusting cosmic joke.
Right.
But right in the middle of this gross-out, dark comedy, Morekton drops a profound philosophical bomb.
And this is the critical moment, really, where the narrative uses absurdity to teach a lesson about the nature of the universe.
So Morekton explains that reality is just a, quote, "code of perception." He trails his fingers along the fabric of the sofa they're sitting on.
Yeah, I love this part.
And he explains that to a human, the texture feels smooth, but to an insect, that same fabric is rigid. And to a quantum life form, that sofa is mountainous.
That's a great analogy.
It is. But why embed such a profound lesson about quantum perception inside a gross-out joke about drinking guilt of worm?
Well, because humor and disgust are the ultimate disruptors of rigid thinking. I mean,
Uh,
think about Dak's psychological profile.
Okay.
If you attempt to lecture a hardened military commander on quantum physics and subjective reality, his mind will simply build a defensive wall. He'll reject it.
He'd just shut down.
Exactly. But by shocking him, by disgusting him, by placing him in an utterly absurd situation like a rat bug in a suit offering him worm juice, his cognitive defenses are entirely bypassed.
Oh, I see. His brain's categorization process just shorts out. Like, he can't file rat bug offering worm juice into any existing military protocol.
Right, he has no mental box for that.
Yeah.
The alien servants are intentionally using this absurdity to break Doc's rigid code of perception.
Oh.
The sofa analogy is the core truth of the entire manuscript. Reality is not a fixed object, it is entirely dependent on the observer. They are trying to teach Doc that his human perspective is incredibly limited.
Prepping him for what's next.
Yes, preparing his mind for the absolute madness that is about to follow.
Because the alien servants were really just the warm-up act. Here's where it gets really interesting. The real test happens when Tenhut finally reemerges from the vents at the Nexus Tower to reunite with Doc.
Yeah.
And the narrative's actual physics completely break down.
The author executes something very ambitious structurally here. The text describes the scene backtracking, basically forcing the reader to experience two versions of reality playing simultaneously.
It's so intense. So Tenhut steps out of the dark vent, and as he does, the fabric of time stops.
This freezes.
The narrative rewinds and then overlays on top of itself. Dak's consciousness fractures. He is suddenly attempting to process two distinct, separate rooms at the exact same time.
Which is impossible for a human brain.
Right. The text describes him viewing an infinity of pixels oscillating on a bed of static. It literally reads, quote, "The room was now 10 and 1,000 times as large, simultaneously."
Just consider the sheer cognitive load of that experience. It's staggering.
I picture it like having 100 tabs open on a computer browser, but instead of websites, every single tab is a conflicting physical reality.
That's a perfect way to look at it.
And they are all playing audio at full volume. Dak is experiencing three distinct forms of awareness in a single moment. His heart is racing. He's desperately trying to focus on both realities at once.
Right.
And in the midst of this hallucination, Dak sees a terrifying apparition. He sees a long, tall, bony, skeletal devil towering over him, and it's wagging a disapproving finger at him before it dissipates into the static.
Such a striking image.
Dak is left completely breathless. His bones are shaking, and he gasps out, quote, "What have we stumbled into?"
You know, if we connect this to the bigger picture of human psychology, Dak is experiencing the exact mechanics of a mental break.
Yeah.
He is being forced into true multidimensional awareness, but he lacks the spiritual bandwidth to handle the data flow.
He simply doesn't have the RAM for it.
Right.
But I wonder, is Dak's panic actually a failure? Or is it just the most logical human response possible? Because, I mean, if my living room suddenly became 100 different sizes at once, I would absolutely lose my mind.
Oh, it's entirely rational from a biological standpoint.
Huh.
I mean, when the human brain is presented with impossible, contradictory information that threatens its core understanding of spatial survival, it panics.
Yeah, of course it does.
It searches for a recognizable symbol to attach to that overwhelming fear. So that bony, skeletal devil wagging its finger that isn't a monster physically standing in the room.
It's not.
No, it is Dak's own mind projecting an avatar of his internal panic.
Oh, wow. So the devil wagging its finger is his brain saying, like, you shouldn't be seeing this. This breaks the rules. You're failing to comprehend your environment.
Exactly. That judgment, that desperate biological need for the room to just be one single size, that is what tears his sanity apart.
It's the resistance.
Yes, it is a manifestation of his inability to categorize the impossible. His brain is punishing him for failing to organize the data into a safe, recognizable pattern.
Dak is on the verge of total psychological collapse here. He's shaking, his reality is fragmented. To survive a broken reality, you really need an anchor.
And right here, Tenhut steps in as the master guide.
He really does. He offers this profound lesson on how to navigate the impossible, drawing on his own experience with the smiling fish and the singing light.
This interaction serves as the true climax of the thematic arc we've been following today.
Yeah. So the text notes that Tenhut recognizes Dak's terror. He commands him, and I quote, "Hold rational, General. Do not lose your sanity. Thought alone cannot identify this mystery."
I love that line. Thought Thought alone cannot identify this mystery.
It's so good. He explicitly warns Doc against trying to use logic to comprehend these forces. He tells him to simply witness them.
Right.
And then he delivers this vital, central piece of wisdom. He says, quote, "Understand the option of infinity, General. All possibilities of reality exist, even dimensions of thought far beyond our own. Do this, and you will have mastered any fears within."
It's brilliant.
And by listening, by focusing on his breath and grounding himself, Doc manages to survive the mind-bending transition as Tenhut leads them out into the Nexus Plaza.
Understand the option of infinity. It is a beautifully concise philosophy for surviving chaos.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? I mean, think about your own life for a second. How often do we try to force logic onto chaotic, overwhelming situations?
100%.
Right. When things go wrong, we immediately try to organize the chaos into neat little boxes so we can understand it, so we can control it.
But it never works.
No. Tenhut is suggesting that trying to logically organize pure chaos is the very mechanism that drives you mad.
Tenhut advocates for a state of passive, mindful observation. In psychological terms, we might actually compare this to radical acceptance.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, by accepting the option of infinity, which is the idea that contradictory truths or incomprehensible chaos can exist simultaneously, you remove the friction.
Because the friction, the fear, is generated by our own resistance to the situation.
Fear stems from the desperate, ego-driven need to control, define, and categorize our environment. When Doc's brain tries to force the room to be one size, the system crashes.
Yeah.
Tenhut saves Doc's mind by giving him permission to stop analyzing. He instructs him to stop attempting to conquer the perception and start merely witnessing it. When you drop the need to control the narrative, the terrifying skeletal devil just disappears.
It returns to being just static, just pixels. You don't have to organize the pixels into a picture, you just have to look at them. The option of infinity becomes the ultimate mental release valve.
It really is a masterclass in the mechanics of perception, cleverly disguised as a dark science fiction epic.
It really is. Let's zoom out and summarize this bizarre, incredible journey we've navigated today. We started with Tenhut crawling through the literal generator room of reality, transitioning from spinning turbines into a smiling, painted underground dream ocean.
Which was beautiful.
So weird and beautiful. And then we watched General Dak suffer through a forced neural translation, only to be served grotesque guilt-of-worm drinks by philosophical insect rodent aliens, proving a point about subjective textures.
Right.
And finally, we watched Dak survive a glitch in the Matrix where a room expanded to 10 and 100 times its size simultaneously by remembering to breathe, abandoning logic, and choosing to witness the chaos instead of controlling it.
The author really forces both the characters and the reader to dismantle their preconceived notions of a solid, binary reality.
And it leaves us with something deeply practical to consider. Next time you feel overwhelmed by the sheer volume of conflicting information in your world, whether it's, navigating a chaotic day at work, processing an overwhelming news cycle, or just dealing with the unpredictable messiness of your personal life, ask yourself this. Are you acting like Dak?
Yeah.
Are you panicking, desperately trying to force the room to stay just one recognizable size?
This really raises an important question for daily survival. I mean, can you adopt Tenhut's mindset? Can you accept the option of infinity, let go of the frantic need to strictly define every single thing, and simply breathe while witnessing the static?
Are you banging your hand against that solid brick wall? Or are you willing to let your hand pass through it into the singing light? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the source material today. Keep questioning your own code of perception. We'll see you next time.